Imagine a land sculpted by time itself, a place of towering, mist-shrouded mountains, deep, isolated valleys. Picture dense emerald rainforests teeming with life found nowhere else on Earth. This is Papua New Guinea. It is a world of extraordinary natural wonder, but its true marvel lies not just in its landscapes or its unique creatures. The greatest treasure of this island nation is its people. It is, quite simply, the most culturally and linguistically diverse place on our planet, a living library of human experience. The name Papua New Guinea itself tells a story of encounters and perceptions. It is a composite name, born from the observations of two different European explorers. The first part, Papua, has its roots in the Malay language. It comes from the word Papua, which means frizzy-haired. Malay traders, seafarers, use that term for the tightly curled hair of people on the western coasts. That simple descriptor was picked up by Portuguese explorers, and later by Spanish explorers, and it stuck. In 1545, a Spanish explorer named Íñigo Ortiz de Retes sailed the northern coast. He saw people on shore and thought they resembled people from the Guinea coast of West Africa. Perhaps it was their dark skin or other physical features that prompted the comparison. To speak of the people of Papua New Guinea is to speak of a remarkable human mosaic. The country is broadly divided into two main ethnic groupings. The first, and by far the largest, are the Papuans. Their ancestors were the very first humans to arrive on the island, making the arduous journey from Southeast Asia some 50,000 years ago. They are the original inhabitants, and their descendants today make up the vast majority of the population, particularly in the rugged interior highlands and the southern coastal regions. The Papuan peoples are not a single homogeneous group. This single term encompasses an astonishing diversity of cultures and languages. The Huli people of the southern highlands, famous for their elaborate wigs made from their own hair and decorated with bird of paradise feathers. So too are the Dani people of the Baliem Valley, renowned for their traditional farming techniques and complex social rituals. From the fierce warriors of the Sepik River, with their intricate crocodile skin scarification, to the quiet coastal villagers of the south, the term Papuan covers hundreds and hundreds of distinct societies, each with its own unique identity and traditions shaped by millennia of life in their specific environment. Our journey through time begins in the deep past during the last ice age. Around 50,000 years ago, the world looked very different. So much of the planet's water was locked up in massive ice sheets that sea levels were much lower. Australia and New Guinea were joined together as a single vast continent called Sahul. Traveling out of Southeast Asia, likely on simple rafts or on canoes, they crossed the water gaps and set foot on this new land. These were the ancestors of today's Papuans, the original inhabitants of this rugged island. These early settlers were incredibly adaptable. They spread out across tropical coasts and high-altitude mountain valleys. Archaeological evidence, stone tools, ancient campfire remains and finds in rock shelters tells the story of their long habitation. They were skilled hunters and gatherers, living with the unique flora and fauna of New Guinea. One remarkable chapter happened in the highlands. Around 9,000 years ago, the highland people independently began farming. At Cook Swamp, archaeologists found ancient farming systems, drainage ditches, cultivation mounds, crops, taro, bananas, yams. This makes the New Guinea highlands one of few independent origins of agriculture. Farming enabled larger, settled populations and sparked greater social and cultural complexity. For millennia, the peoples of New Guinea developed their societies largely untouched by the outside world. This long isolation began to fray in the 16th century with the arrival of the first European ships. It was not until the 19th century that outsiders began to lay claim to the land. The so-called scramble for colonies reached even this remote corner of the globe. In 1884, the island was formally carved up. Germany annexed the northeastern quarter, German New Guinea. They set up plantations for coconut. They set up plantations for cocoa. At the same time, Great Britain declared a protectorate over the southeastern portion, British New Guinea. A line was drawn on a map that cut across traditional lands, trade routes, and ethnic groups. Two European administrations began to impose their own laws, their own languages, their own economic systems. In 1906, control of British New Guinea transferred to Australia. It became the territory of Papua. In 1914, Australian forces captured German New Guinea. After the war, the League of Nations granted Australia a mandate, the territory of New Guinea. By the 1920s, Australia governed both territories but as distinct entities. Patrol officers, known as Kiaps, trekked into remote areas establishing government control and introducing Western law. They built roads, they built airfields, they provided basic health services, but this also deeply disrupted traditional life. Dual Australian administration continued until after World War II, setting the stage for the two territories to be joined together. The Second World War was a brutal and transformative event for New Guinea. The island's strategic location made it a critical battleground. Allied forces, Australian and American, and the invading armies, Imperial Japan. Fierce fighting raged across the rugged mountains and dense jungles, from the Kokoda Tract to the beaches of Buna and Gona. Many Papua New Guineans were drawn into the conflict, serving as soldiers, scouts, laborers, carriers. They became known as the Fuzzy Wuzzy Angels, helping wounded Australian soldiers. This experience exposed them to the wider world. The war shattered the myth of colonial invincibility and planted the seeds of political consciousness. After the war, the United Nations renewed Australia's control under a new arrangement. In 1949, the territories were combined, the territory of Papua and New Guinea, for the first time governed as one. The post-war decades saw a gradual push towards self-governance, investment in education, healthcare, and economic development. A legislative council was established and more Papua New Guineans entered politics. Parties formed in the late 1960s and early 1970s. A young teacher and broadcaster named Michael Somar emerged as a key leader, uniting regional and tribal factions. Finally, the moment arrived. On September 16, 1975, the nation of Papua New Guinea was born. In Port Moresby, the Australian flag was respectfully lowered, and the new flag, Southern Cross and a soaring bird of paradise, was raised as Prince Charles, representing Queen Elizabeth II, formally handed over sovereignty. It was a moment of immense pride and optimism. Today, half a century after its independence, Papua New Guinea stands as a powerful symbol of human diversity in our increasingly homogenized world. The challenge it faces is truly unique. How to foster a sense of national unity among more than 850 different cultural groups while simultaneously protecting and celebrating the very differences that make the nation so special. It is a delicate balancing act. The forces of globalization, modern education, and a cash economy are inevitably changing traditional ways of life. Young people are moving to cities, and English and Tok Pisin are becoming more common, sometimes at the expense of local languages. Yet, the cultural resilience of Papua New Guinea is extraordinary. In villages, ancient customs remain vital. Traditional obligations to one's clan, the Wantok system, remain the bedrock of society, providing a social safety net that the state often cannot. Spectacular cultural festivals like the Goroka Show and the Mount Hagen Show bring together different ethnic groups in breathtaking displays of song, dance, and traditional costume. These events are not just tourist attractions, they are vibrant affirmations of identity, a way for elders to pass on heritage, and for groups to share culture in a spirit of peaceful pride. This living tapestry is a treasure for all humanity. Each language lost is an irretrievable loss. These cultures hold unique perspectives on art, social organization, and sustainable living. The deep spiritual connection to the environment holds wisdom the modern world needs. Protecting PNG's cultural diversity is inseparable from protecting its incredible biodiversity.